and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
I'm feeling good.
Let's savor these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's whoop it up for these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
I'm feeling good.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
You're listening to 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. Today's edition of the Megacast begins now. Welcome to the Megacast, our live local daily TV, radio, and streaming show looking into all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Keith. Today we'll be talking to a number of people about topics of interest and importance to Michiganders like you. Let's get started with what's making headlines across the Great Lakes State today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page. Our top article comes from Bridge, Michigan's Mike Wilkinson and their coronavirus tracker. Michigan's weekly case rate fell by 11% this week, down to just about 9,850 cases from about 10,100 cases a week ago across that span of time. Additionally, there were 4 fewer deaths from COVID-19 this week rather than last week, down to just 116 in total. All of this is good news on the COVID-19 front, as this marks the 4th consecutive week of dropping case numbers in the state of Michigan. Hospitals are also getting a slight relief as well, with hospitalizations due to COVID falling 6% over the past week. So far this year, 7,430 people in Michigan have died as a result of COVID-19, making it currently the 3rd leading cause of death in the state. Also making headlines today from Amy Hushka at the Detroit Free Press. If your pockets feel a little bit looser today, maybe because of that trip to the gas station, the average price of gas of a gallon of gasoline in Michigan jumped to $4.36 this week. That's a rise of 19 cents from the most recent previous report by AAA. The past week's rise is not the most staggering. Gas prices have jumped an average of 50 cents in the past month and over $1 per gallon from this time a year ago. AAA spokesperson Adrian Woodland said, quote, "Rising crude oil prices coupled with tightening supply due to refinery issues continues to put upward pressure on pump prices. If demand declines, it could possibly slow down the price increases that Michigan motorists have seen for the past few weeks." In the state of Michigan, the most expensive gas prices on average are in Lansing and Saginaw and Flint, all at $4.43 per gallon on average. The least expensive average gas prices are here in the Metro Detroit area, where we originate our broadcast, at $4.29 per gallon. Up north in Traverse City at $4.31 per gallon, and in Benton Harbor at $4.35 per gallon. Finally, making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page from Mark Hicks at the Detroit News, as well as the Associated Press. The Faculty Senate at Michigan State University issued a vote of no confidence in its Board of Trustees on Tuesday, stating that the board, quote, continued to destabilize the university and, quote, compounded their intransigence, intimidating faculty administrators through a retained law firm investigating the resignation of Sanjay Gupta, who is both outside of the board's administrative purview, and that violation is a violation of the Code of Ethics, and closed quote. Trustees, when approached for comment by the Detroit News, did not provide an immediate response. However, just before faculty met on Tuesday for that vote of no confidence, the Board of Trustees issued a statement saying, quote, "While we understand some members of the community do not believe this is an appropriate review, we respectfully disagree," and closed quote. The Faculty Senate previously expressed its dismay at the board over the handling of the resignation of Sanjay Gupta from the School of Business, as well as the board's alleged lack of transparency, according to the group of faculty. The no confidence vote does not hold any legal weight. No action really will be taken as a result of this vote of no confidence. It's simply their way of communicating as a faculty collective at Michigan State University. We don't have confidence in the leadership of these elected officials and the MSU Board of Trustees. The Associated Students of Michigan State University, otherwise known as ASMSU, also voted to approve a vote of no confidence in the Board of Trustees. All those headlines are on our website, CivicCenterTV.com, on our local news page, along with links to COVID-19 updates from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the Oakland County Health Division. We have a great show ahead on this Wednesday edition of the Megacast. Coming up next, we'll talk Michigan tourism with Pure Michigan's Odie McKinley. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Let's whoop it up for these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
I'm feeling good.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live local daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program on civiccentertv.com/megacast. We'll find information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State and find all of our full interviews and individual shows on demand as well. civiccentertv.com/megacast. Well, as you're traveling across the Great Lakes State, all throughout the fall and all around the year, there's so much to do, so many different activities, such a versatile state that we live in with all 4 seasons to experience as well. So that brings up the question, what am I to do in this place versus that place? If I want to go find some great food in Michigan, great activities in Michigan, there's so much to think about. And that's why we bring in people like Odie McKinley from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation and Pure Michigan, their media and communications manager on the Megacast. Odie, thanks for being with us again.
Hello, Tyler. How you doing, man?
Doing all right today. How are you doing, Odie?
I am great. Just loving this fall weather and the beautiful colors that are surrounding us, man. It's crazy. It's great.
You know, this is it's been quite ideal weather the last few days. To go outside, not today, it's a little different start today with the rain and the clouds, but hey, it's the fall. It's going to happen. But the last few days been nice in the 60s and the 70s, nice little breeze, no humidity. You know, if we got that 365 days a year, that's what I call a utopia.
I'm on board. I'm with you, man.
Yeah, someday we'll have to negotiate that with Mother Nature. In the meantime, let's talk about travel in the state of Michigan because there's so much to do in our state on so many different levels. You are one of the experts on this. You and our friends at Pure Michigan know so much about everything that you can do right here in the state of Michigan. Let's just go down the list. Let's start off, everyone, this time of year, you're thinking about the holidays, you're thinking about getting warm and cozy in the home and enjoying a nice meal. But when you're out and about in the state of Michigan, you're also thinking about exploring some of the great eateries in all of our different regions of Michigan. What are some of your favorites across the Great Lakes State, Odie?
Oh man, there's so many, but my wife and I really enjoy spending time up in the Indian River area and during the summer. And there's this great little breakfast place called Cafe Noka, which is in Topinabee. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, Topinabee, just outside of Indian River on Mullet Lake. And it's a tiny little place. It's a no-frills restaurant, but it is some of the best breakfast foods around. Although on the other end of the scale, in the area of Sheboygan, which isn't too far from that Indian River area, is a great fine dining restaurant on the Sheboygan River called Hackmatack. It is just authentic Northern Michigan atmosphere. But the food is incredible. The wait staff is incredible. Strong recommendation for Hackmatack. But also, if you're kind of in the area, don't turn down. There's a great little place. A husband and wife own this conglomeration of businesses in downtown Sheboygan. There is the Queen's Head Wine Pub, which is a great place to grab a glass of wine and maybe a charcuterie board. But connected to that is kind of a neat little place called Stormy's Cap and Ale. And so it is a brick and mortar Stormy Cromer shop, but they have some local Sheboygan Brewing Company beers on tap. So you can grab a beer and shop some of Stormy Cromer's finest apparel options. So that area, you know, I'm biased to that area, but there are just so many great places to enjoy some great foods and cocktails.
Yeah, and you mentioned some of the Michigan beer that's available there in that location in Sheboygan. You got great breweries all across the state of Michigan that are continuing to rise up. And of course, we got Grand Rapids, which is Beer City, USA as well. Right. What are some of your favorite beers from Michigan or places to grab a beer and try something different from creators right here in Michigan?
Cool. Again, lots of options there. But I think first and foremost, I'm a Bell's fan through and through. From Oberon in the summer to Two Hearted when the temps are a little cooler. I'm a big fan of Bell's. But Perrin in Grand Rapids, they've got a 5910 IPA. It's a great option. You know, on the northwest side of the state, there's a great beer garden called Hoplot. Some fantastic brews, but just a great garden in the back. Fires and just live music. It's great. But then up in Marquette, you've got two fantastic breweries, Black Rocks and Ore Docks. So, you know, the options are across the board. No matter where you are in the state, you are not far from a great brewery. That is for sure.
Yeah, great food and great drink all across the state of Michigan. And it gets to the point, too, where you try so much and you're having so much fun, you're enjoying all this food and drink that, you know, you get a little bit too full. You get a little bit bloated from all that drinking. And you think to yourself, you know what? I need to go take and get some exercise and go hiking in Michigan. Plenty of great places for that as well, and wonderful trails all across the Great Lakes state. What are some of your favorite locations for those that enjoy hiking or want to explore some of Michigan nature on foot?
You know, Michigan is the trail state, and that is certainly hiking, but also biking, paddling, just a wealth of opportunity. You know, a favorite hike of mine is, you know, everyone knows the Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore, typically seen from kayak or boat. But the hiking along the rim of the National Lakeshore is incredible. It's a completely different experience. A different way to experience the Pictured Rocks. It's incredible. Multiple different levels of hiking opportunities. So nice, easy, flat, stable grounds, or there's some more aggressive hiking trails available. But another place, a little more conservative, northern Michigan, lower peninsula of northern Michigan, is the Lewis M. Groen Nature Preserve. It's just east of Gaylord in Johannesburg. Some great hiking options, nothing too aggressive, but you're walking through just the natural forest. Gorgeous hikes, and they're also open in the winter, so snowshoeing or cross-country skiing are options in the wintertime.
We're joined by Odie McKinley from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation and Pure Michigan, joining us on today's edition of the Megacast. Of course, you can find more information about all of your Michigan travel needs and different places to explore all across the state in various regions and all across all 4 seasons in Michigan by going to michigan.org. That is michigan.org for more information. We're in the fall, but there's still plenty of beautiful sunsets as we get into the colder months of the year. Still plenty of time to go visit some of those. And of course, it's a great time too to think about some spring and summer plans too. What are some of your favorite places to go in Michigan to see some of those great landscapes and beautiful sunsets that make for a great picture or just a great sight as you're ending your day?
Well, this is the time, right? As people are out enjoying the fall colors, stick around, watch the sunset. It's a beautiful time of year. And I'll tell you, for me, my wife and I are golfers, and I don't know that there's a better place to watch the sunset than in the Adirondack chairs at Arcadia Bluffs. It is absolutely gorgeous. You've got the golf course in front of you, which is a classic Bluffs style, Heather style golf course with Lake Michigan in the background. It is tough to beat. But also, if you're up on Mackinac Island, take a quick bike ride up to the West Bluffs, and to watch the sunset from there with the mighty Mac in the background. I mean, come on, that's tough to beat. But again, there's so many great places. Glen Arbor out on the beach there, again, by Sleeping Bear. Chateau Chantal on Old Mission Peninsula. There's so many gorgeous places to take in a sunset. I could talk for hours on that.
Yeah, there's so many great places across Michigan to see beautiful landscapes, and just beautiful sights and sounds in nature, and even in city environments too, that you can get great picture opportunities and just great sights that you may not get in other places here in the U.S. and certainly around the world. Really a unique place we have here in Michigan for sunsets. We're joined by Odie McKinley from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation and Pure Michigan, where he serves as their media and communications manager on today's edition of the Megacast. And Odie, we're approaching the holiday season. Families often getting together at this time of the year, wherever they live, but sometimes families will go on a trip around Michigan at the holidays or travel to different places in Michigan. For those that are looking to have a little bit of an adventure when they are going out and about this holiday season with their family, what are some places you suggest that they visit?
Certainly there are any number of amazing places, from downtown Detroit to downtown Grand Rapids to northern Michigan. But as we start thinking about travel for the winter, I am a fan of Gaylord through and through. I have spent my life up in Gaylord every winter, almost every weekend, every winter. And I just think that it is an incredible place for winter activities. I grew up at the Otsego Resort. So I am biased to that ski area as well. But from amazing food in the duck blind to the skiing, the alpine skiing, but also the trails for snowshoeing and cross country skiing. It's a great resort. It's all inclusive in that once you're there, you don't need to leave. But the community of Gaylord is incredible as well. Downtown Gaylord has some great shopping options, some fantastic restaurants, and it just has. It's got a small town vibe, but it's a really neat place. So I'd strongly suggest people spend a little time in Gaylord. I think they'll be surprised with the experience and memories that they walk away with.
And Odie, lastly, no one really wants to think about it just yet. We just got into fall, but it's a good time to start thinking about some winter plans as well. What are some of your favorite winter locations for those that want to get some outdoor experience in the cold and snow? That's really quite different here in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, I always say there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothes. Yeah. And so, just because it's winter doesn't mean that you have to be inbound all winter long. Again, I'm a big fan of the alpine skiing, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing. Gaylord, again, is one of my favorite destinations in the winter, but there are so many great places. You look into Charlevoix, Petoskey, Harbor Springs. If skiing is your jam, which it is mine, you've got the Highlands of Harbor Springs, formerly Boyne Highlands. You've got Nubbs Knob. But again, tourism and travel doesn't necessarily mean you have to go up north. Downtown Detroit is an incredible weekend experience in the winter with Cadillac Lounge and what they're doing at Campus Martius. There's so many activities for the family, for a group of friends, just you and your partner, whatever that may be. Don't think you have to drive all the way up north to experience a great winter weekend here in Michigan. Grand Rapids, Lansing, Detroit, all great communities to spend a weekend in as you're looking to plan your travels this winter.
You never really have to go too far to get a great experience in all different regions of Michigan and in all different kinds of places too, right here in the Great Lakes State. Odie, thank you so much for joining us.
Tyler, it's always a pleasure. I appreciate it. And I hope you have a fantastic fall.
You as well. And of course, your trip begins at Michigan.org for more information, Michigan.org. We'll take a break on the Megacast. When we come back, we'll talk more about COVID-19 as well as the flu season and other important medical topics with our go-to guy for those kinds of conversations. Dr. Jamie Tawil from Grand River Medical Associates joins us next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's whoop it up for these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
I'm feeling good.
Let's savor these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live local daily TV, radio, and streaming show about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State and find all of our full shows and individual interviews on demand. Well, we're entering the time of the year where flu starts to take an impact on our community, and in addition to COVID-19 and other medical issues, a lot to think about for yourself individually, as well as your family and the community around you. Here to talk about those kinds of issues is Dr. Jamie Tawil, internal medicine specialist at Grand River Medical Associates. Dr. Tawil, thanks for being with us again.
Thanks for having me on as always. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right today. How are you?
I'm getting there.
Good. Always good to hear. So here, as we mentioned, we're in about the time of the year where flu starts to become a little bit of an issue here in our communities. Of course, the seasonal flu we hear about every single year, and the flu shot. For some people, there seems to be two camps. There's the people that get the flu shot religiously every single year, and others that may take a year off or several years off and think, well, it's just a slight variation of the year before. I should be fine. For those that are reluctant to get the flu shot every year or just kind of blow it off, what do you say to that population about the importance of getting their flu shot and how that can help protect them, given the ways that flu changes year to year?
Well, I think the one thing I usually tell patients is that the last thing you want me as your physician to say to you is, I told you so. Usually that means something bad has happened. So typically, you want to make sure that patients are getting their flu vaccines. Skipping a year means you're just at risk as anybody else. Getting the previous year's flu vaccine is not going to protect you to this year's flu vaccine. So, the inconsistency is not always going to lead to good outcomes. Your risk of getting flu is significantly decreased by when you receive the flu vaccine, and you want to reduce not only the risk of getting it, but also the severity of it should you get it. And nothing's been proven to be more effective than the vaccine at this point.
And so when you get that vaccine, people are also concerned too with the traditional flu vaccine that, they're giving me the live virus. I might feel bad after I get the flu for a few days, and it's almost like I have it. Wouldn't it just be better for me to not have that protection from that vaccine and just, get it naturally if it's going to give it to me anyway? What do you say about that argument? What are the flaws in that argument that we hear so often from people about the flu shot?
No more often than I do hear it. I'll tell you that much. Well, the reality is that, yes, your body does mount an immune response when you receive the flu vaccine. You do feel a little fatigued. You do feel a little bit out of it, and it does last for a few days. However, the severity of disease that you get from the flu vaccine is extremely mild compared to what would happen if you were to just get the flu itself. And, you don't want to add any more problems onto your plate right now, specifically with COVID still happening and new variants of COVID coming out. You want to do everything you can to try and reduce the risk of getting something that's going to put you out. And no one wants to be out any more than they already have been. So I think the reality of the situation is that the flu vaccine does give you a mild reaction, but that reaction is your body gearing up to protect itself from when you were to actually be exposed to the flu. So it's definitely a good thing, and it's definitely something that people would want to do.
And Dr. Tawil, we're also seeing that early on this flu season, it's having quite the impact in Australia. And so what can that tell us about what this flu season might be like in terms of forecasting that? It's already having quite the impact on Australians. What does that maybe mean for us here in the U.S.? Are medical professionals expecting this flu season to be a little bit more severe than it's been in years past?
I do. And I've been seeing more severity of illness in general. I mean, a lot of viruses that are going around. RSV has picked up, a lot of, with the change in temperature, the allergies that are kicking up, people are getting more sick. I think Australia is a pretty good indication of what we're going to be expecting. And I think it's going to be a pretty rough flu season. I also think the drop in contact precautions that have occurred are definitely going to lead to more infections of the influenza virus, as well as possibly more infections with COVID. So I do think it's definitely important to try and put every type of weapon in your arsenal in the protection against getting some sort of terrible virus.
In terms of COVID-19 boosters, just to continue on the theme of vaccinations for a little while, we've seen the new boosters come out recently for the Omicron subvariant, for Omicron's subvariants that have become more dominant strains of late, and we're continuing to see more and more boosters. On the other side of that, we're also seeing, in terms of public defense against COVID-19, a lot of those precautions that we had early on in the pandemic, even a year ago, have gone to the wayside. And in some cases, it seems like it's a very relaxed approach to COVID-19 at this point. What are the flaws, if any, that are in that approach? And what really would you suggest, and other professionals in the medical community like you suggest, for people in the population at this time, given what we know and where we're at with COVID-19, to prevent further spread of the virus throughout our communities and prevent severe disease?
So Omicron came through, and Omicron was a little bit more elusive to vaccines. It was also elusive to some treatments, but at the same time, it was a much milder form. So I think a lot of people picked up COVID, or saw people that they knew that had COVID and had the Omicron variant, and saw that it wasn't as terrifying as it was portrayed. So they felt to themselves, well, this isn't that big a deal. So they ended up kind of being a lot more lax in things. If I get COVID, it's not going to be that bad, or I already had it, and therefore I'm okay. People, when they say I've had COVID, therefore I feel like I've already built the antibodies to it. That's kind of like saying, well, I don't need to wear a seatbelt because I've already been in a car accident. And that's just not reasonable. I feel that the new variants that are coming out are going to be a lot more significant and severe. And I think that people still need to be aware that there are variants of COVID that are coming out, and there are variants of COVID that are still out. I've had patients get it multiple times, 2 to 3, even possibly 4 times. So you want to make sure that you're doing everything you can to protect against that, because ultimately, we're going to see a variant that's not going to be as pretty. It'll probably be as dangerous as the previous ones. We're already starting to see spikes in hospitalizations, new variants that are coming out. The new bivalent vaccine that's basically been put out has the Omicron variant spike protein, but also has the previous spike protein that was absent in the newer vaccines. And that has been shown to prevent people from getting COVID again, those that have waning immunity from having a previous, infection from COVID, as well as protect against the newer the variants that are coming out. It's been shown to be a little bit more effective. So hopefully, I encourage everybody to get new vaccines, including the bivalent vaccine, as well as even if you've had COVID or previous vaccines, I want the new boosters to be in everyone's arms if possible. In addition to that, just to maintain the typical contact precautions, even more so during flu season, because we've already shown that as we were diligent in making sure we didn't get COVID, we've also protected ourselves from potentially getting the influenza virus. So I think it's a win-win.
Let's continue on with Dr. Jeremy Tawil from internal medicine specialist at Grand River Medical Associates on today's edition of the Megacast. Another important topic that has been getting a lot more attention of late in the last couple of years and really has had some changing precautions and recommendations directed at it has been approaches to getting colonoscopies regularly for people of certain ages here in the U.S. and around the world. But the information on that has changed. And in the past, it's been a more middle-aged and older individuals that were suggested to get colonoscopies regularly over a variant of time. But that age has actually moved back a little bit in recent years.
Mm-hmm. We're seeing a new surge in younger people that are getting colon cancer. So we're starting to be a little bit more diligent about preventable cancers. And preventable means we can catch it early, we can get rid of it, and we can prevent people from dying from it. And the studies have shown conclusively that people that get routine colonoscopies or colon cancer screenings, either through colonoscopy or through Cologuard, which is a stool-based DNA study, have been able to reduce their risks of getting and dying from colon cancer. I'm sorry, forgive me. So the lowering of the age is to just be able to catch more people. So the new previous guidelines were at age 50, the newer ones are at age 45. So by lowering the age to 45, we're able to capture things a little bit, the earlier you catch something, it's much easier to stop a truck going 5 miles per hour than it is going 100 miles per hour. So if we're able to catch it at that 5 mile per hour speed, speaking, it will definitely reduce your risk of potentially dying from colon cancer, preventable disease.
In terms of frequency of those procedures, has that changed too with the age suggestion?
So it's typically every 10 years if you have a normal colonoscopy. However, if polyps are present, now I always say this to patients, and my mentor taught me this, not all polyps become cancerous, but all cancers start as a polyp. So if you're able to find any polyp and remove it, you can determine whether or not it's a dangerous polyp, whether or not it's a safe polyp, and it ends up being a little bit more beneficial for the patient in the long run. So if you have a colonoscopy and polyps are visualized, then they narrow that window down to roughly 5 years, give or take. And based on the pathology of the polyps, are they dangerous or are they none? Are they just basic polyps, or are they more aggressive polyps that have the higher potentiality to become colon cancer? Then they're going to move that up to 3 years, and based on the number and size and type of polyp, even up to 1 year surveillance colonoscopies. So they get more diligent as the things they find.
We're joined by Dr. Jeremy Tawil from Grand River Medical Associates on today's edition of the Megacast. You can get in contact with them by going to their website at grandrivermedical.com. That is grandrivermedical.com. You can also give them a call, 248-264-6169, 248-264-6169 for more information. Dr. Tawil, anything else that we should be keeping aware of individually or as families at this time on the medical front?
No, it's tough to give advice in these scenarios, but my common advice is always the same. It's going to be that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And it is very easy to focus on the things that are right at the forefront, and we are focusing on that. But I also want to make sure that patients are doing all of their regular routine screening. We did talk about colonoscopy, and there's a bit of a backlog from all the people that put it off during COVID. Same with mammograms, same with pap and pelvics for gyne screening, things like that. We want to make sure that patients are still doing the regular routine things and they're not getting sidelined by the tragedies that are happening currently in the world. We are still keeping a very close eye on that. We encourage people to, but we also want to make sure they're still getting in to see their doctors. They're still getting all of their routine screenings, getting their blood work, and they're making sure that they're in contact with their physicians to make sure that we are all doing our job to make sure everyone's doing well. We want to keep it going. So I say just continue with contact precautions as best you can. Do the best you can. Be kind to each other. That's about it.
Yeah, we've learned a lot over the last few years about different ways we can protect our health and the health of others around us. And of course, I think more than anything, we've learned it's really important to ask questions when we have them and we're not sure what to do to better protect our health and those around us. And a great person to go to is your primary care provider, people like Dr. Jamie Tawil. Dr. Tawil, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. As always, I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys today.
Thank you for joining us. GrandRiverMedical.com is their website. GrandRiverMedical.com to get in contact with Dr. Tawil and company at Grand River Medical Associates and ask them more questions. We'll take a break here on the MegaCast. When we come back, we are in the middle of a tumultuous political season and an important time of the year as we get ready for gubernatorial debates here in Michigan, as well as debates for many other positions all across the U.S. Coming up next, we'll talk to the director of Oakland University's Center for Civic Engagement and professor of political science at the university, Dave Dulio, about politics both here in Michigan and around the U.S. and how those politics impact us right here in our hometowns. That's coming up next. You're watching and listening to the MegaCast.
Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's whoop it up for these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head on, visit michigan.gov/flu.
Welcome back to the MegaCast, our live local daily TV, radio, and streaming show about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Keefe. Learn more about our program on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the state and find all of our full interviews and individual shows as well on demand. civiccentertv.com/megacast. Joining us now as we head into the thick of the election season with just a little bit under a month now to go until Election Day. We're joined by Dave Dulio, the professor of political science at Oakland University and the director of its Center for Civic Engagement. Dave, thanks for being with us today.
Hey, nice to talk to you, Tyler. Thanks for having me.
Good to talk to you as well. Let's begin here in the state of Michigan. It's a big week in Michigan politics as we are approaching tomorrow, the first gubernatorial debate between Governor Gretchen Whitmer and her Republican challenger, Tudor Dixon. Looking at both sides of the aisle here, what are some of the key focuses for both of these candidates going into that first debate tomorrow night that will be hosted in Grand Rapids by Wood TV 8 at 7 o'clock as they try to get some momentum in these last few weeks before Election Day?
Sure. Well, I think the strategies for the two candidates are going to be very, very different. And I think if we assume that the polling is correct that's out there, every poll that I've seen has got Governor Whitmer ahead. And it by varying numbers, right? But she's ahead. I think we can stipulate that. So her strategy is going to be sort of hold serve, right? And really not make any big mistakes. You know, you and I have talked before about comparing this race to the Virginia gubernatorial race last time around, where Terry McAuliffe made a huge mistake, and it changed the nature of the race. So Governor Whitmer is a good politician. She's a good candidate. She knows not to be not making that big mistake. And it's going to be an entirely different focus for Tudor Dixon, right? She is going to go in and be aggressive. She's going to go and try to knock Governor Whitmer off her perch. She's going to try to make it so that she brings her down a couple notches. That's really where Tudor Dixon needs to be at the moment, where she is trying to gain ground on an opponent that's got a lead.
Yeah, it's a narrow lead according to some of the more recent polls between Governor Whitmer and Tudor Dixon. Previously, in the last couple of weeks, it's been well over 10%, nearing and in some cases over 15%. Now it's down. The most recent poll I saw was about 6% of a gap between Governor Whitmer and a narrow lead over Tudor Dixon. So these debates definitely going to be huge for both of these candidates. For Governor Whitmer to really stick the landing and try to get herself reelected here, and for Tudor Dixon to gain some of that ground. And as we talked about last week, Dave, make some ground too in getting her message out there, getting her name recognition out there, as the Republicans continue to be significantly behind the Democrats in terms of advertising dollars and funding for this gubernatorial campaign, which is key for them as well. How does that factor into the aggressive strategy you're expecting from Tudor Dixon to get her name out there and really reach some of those voters that are on the fence about Whitmer or Dixon, or maybe we're considering not even participating in this election as independents that don't like either candidate?
Right, and I think that what you'll see, right, is this two-pronged approach now from the Dixon campaign and her allies. Right, there are ads that are now up on air, and it's probably not a coincidence that they're starting the same week that the first debate is going to be held. And it's a matter of resource allocation for sure. I'm sure they would have liked to have had the funding to start before, but they seem to be in a stance where they're going to try to make a game of this in the last month or so. The question that is on everybody's mind is, are opinions already hardened, right? That about either candidate, really. But I think from the Dixon campaign, has opinion of the electorate hardened around her before she's had a chance to really talk to the voters, right? Before the debate, before the campaign has been up on the air, the Whitmer campaign and its allies have been, as you know, just hammering away at Tudor Dixon on the issue of abortion and other things. Really, I think defining Tudor Dixon before Tudor Dixon could define herself.
And maybe this is a broad question, Dave, but from your perspective, which one of these two debates, the first one being this week, Thursday, about 3.5 weeks from the election, the next one being on October 25th, it's going to be in the partnership, of course, between the Center for Civic Engagement and WXYZ TV or Channel 7 in the Detroit area. Which one of these debates do you believe is more important for both of these candidates to really make that big push and try to edge the other one out in this competition for governor?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think, the importance of the second debate will change depending on what happens in the first one, right? So different outcomes. When let's say that it goes off without a hitch for the Whitmer campaign, and Tudor Dixon maybe scores a few points. I think then the pressure really ramps up on the second one to have Tudor Dixon just come in and be even more aggressive to try to make up that ground that maybe wasn't gained in the first one. But, let's say that Governor Whitmer's off her game and she does make a mistake. Well, then debate number 2, all the pressure's on her, right? So I think it's going to be a useful exercise. It's going to be an informative exercise for the public to watch these two candidates stand next to each other and have to defend their records, defend their statements, talk about their vision, right? This is something that we don't always get. And, because in the absence of these debates, what happens is that the campaign is fought out in dueling television ads, and the Whitmer campaign's talking about one set of issues, the Dixon campaign is talking about another set of issues. And they're sort of talking past each other. These are really important for folks to pay attention to because they get to see the candidates talk about the same issue at the same time.
We're joined by Dave Dulio, professor of political science at Oakland University, and also their director for the Center of Civic Engagement at Oakland as well. And another key race, a couple of key races we're looking at in the state of Michigan. Certainly District 7 between Alyssa Slotkin and Tom Barrett is the key race across the state. We're seeing a lot of these individual races, particularly in the House, that are getting a lot of outside money flowing in to impact those, because this is a key state and has been last several elections. How does that rash of outside money for this campaign between Slotkin and Barrett and other campaigns such as Gibbs versus Schulten in the old Pete Meyer seat on the west side of the state, how does that really speak to just how important of a state Michigan is in U.S. politics at this moment in our history?
Sure. The importance of Michigan as a political state here or in our politics is once again on display. And it happens every election cycle. In the presidential years, no brainer, right? We are a competitive state. Candidates are going to visit and they're going to battle it out for our now 15 electoral votes. But in midterms like this, especially after redistricting, right? The process that Michigan went through last year, we've got a shakeup in these U.S. House seats at a time when the GOP is looking to try and flip control of that chamber. They need a handful of seats to try to take away from Democrats and get into the hands of Republicans. And you're seeing a bunch of money flow in from both sides on that fight very clearly. And the Slotkin-Barrett race, that is the number one race in the country for outside money. In fact, I'm looking at that total right now. $12 million of outside money, right? So it's not even what the candidates have spent, but $12 million from the national parties, from super PACs, right? So $12 million flowing into that one House seat. And then, of course, you've got other competitive races. The Kildee Young race in the sort of Flint-based district has got a bunch of money flowing into it. One that is and both of those are obviously Democratic-held seats that Republicans are trying to get oust those incumbents, oust those sitting office holders, and get their candidates into. A couple of surprises for me are the new 10th congressional district, where John James is running against Carl Marlenga. There has been a little bit of outside money flowing in there to help John James, but not a penny from outside money to help Carl Marlenga. That tells me that the Democrats may look at that one as a lost cause, right? If they thought that was going to be competitive, they would be pumping money into that. The other surprise, you mentioned the third, right, where it is Peter Meyer's it's not his old district because that's because the district is new, but that's where he ran, where Mr. Gibbs beat Peter Meyer in the primary. And of course, running against Hillary Schulten. There is, and I've told you this on this show before, it's my hunch that Gibbs is going to lose to Schulten. But Democrats are pumping money into that one, which is curious because they tried successfully to get Gibbs over the finish line in the primary. Yes, the Democratic National Party spent money to help John Gibbs, a Trump-backed Republican, over the finish line in that primary against Peter Meyer. Now they are spending money to defeat him, right? So they spent about $500,000 in the primary. They spent about $1.5 million more in the general. So, is that a sign that they think that strategy from the primary might come back to bite them? We'll wait and see in about 3 weeks.
Dave Dulio is with us, director of the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University and a professor of political science there as well. Dave, another minute or two before we'll say goodbye today. I want to give you an opportunity. Of course, we got the big debate coming up on October 25th. with Channel 7 at the Center for Civic Engagement at Oakland University. Any other events come up or discussions with the Center for Civic Engagement that people in the community can engage in?
Yeah, thanks, Tyler. We've got the same day as the debate. It's going to be a busy day on OU's campus on 10/25. We've got Civility Day, which we've talked about before. We're going to have in partnership with the Civility Project that's run by Nolan Finley and Stephen Henderson. We're going to have a great string of speakers and presenters and discussions about civility in public life from about 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Folks can register for that on the Center for Civic Engagement website, oakland.edu/CCE. It's free for the first 100 folks. We've got a few slots left. There are, that includes lunch. Come out, get a free lunch, listen to some really great speakers. And I'll also say too, we had a wonderful civil discussion about abortion last night. It was virtual. I'm going to post the recording to that to our Facebook page, LinkedIn page. You can find us if you want to check that out, between two wonderful speakers, passionate yet civil. Really great discussion.
Oakland.edu/CCE for more information and events coming up. Dave, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Tyler. See you next week.
You as well. That'll do it for today's edition of the Megacast. We'll return on Thursday morning with a new episode at 10 a.m.